Hearing her say, "Blood is thicker than water," the three of them asked what she meant. Tai softly explained that her dad was the strongest in the world, a super strong holy knight. They were shocked. In this world, people awakened either holy power or magical power, never both. For a child of a holy knight to awaken magic was unheard of, something only found in legends, and often seen as a bad omen. If her father was truly the strongest, he could only belong to the noble house Luminant. Basto and Bale exchanged confused looks. Tai then described the small but cozy house where she had lived with her dad, the dusty room, the cold bathroom, but said she loved it. Then she grew sad, saying her dad had left, and she ended up alone in the forest with Blackie, who is now asleep. Bale assumed Blackie was a permanent summon she had unknowingly created after awakening her power. Tai said that when Blackie woke up, he would help her find her dad. She believed that once she reached the capital, she would meet him again, and that he would remember her. When they questioned this, she hesitated but admitted that due to magic, her dad had lost his memory of her. The three were shocked. They quietly discussed the possibility that her father, likely from House Luminant, had been separated from her by force, and her existence erased. They felt anger but knew they couldn't act against such a powerful family or reveal her identity. Bale then told her that even though there was no rule against a 4-year-old joining a mercenary group, she couldn't officially register. But since she wanted to find her dad, they would find another way. Basto agreed, saying he owed her his life, and Nordic supported them too. They warned Tai to hide her powers, as such strength would attract dangerous people. She understood she couldn't risk being stopped before finding her dad. Thinking hard, Tai came up with an idea. A few days later, they arrived at the mercenary order. Tai was being carried by Basto, hidden under a black hood. Her plan was to pretend she wasn't a child, but a powerful, mysterious figure, a boss who had taken the form of a child. And with that, the journey of the little necromancer truly began. The Holy Knight guards were shocked when they saw the magic stone. It was a medium-grade one. Bale told them that it should be more than enough for a mercenary group registration exam. The guards looked at them in disbelief. A rough-looking man, an old man, and a young woman, and questioned how they had obtained it. They even suspected it might be stolen and demanded to know who they were. Suddenly, a voice from below interrupted them, telling them not to be rude. They looked down in confusion. Tai, speaking in a deep, mature tone, told them to show respect to a great archmage and necromancer. When they realized the voice came from a child, they were shocked. Tai then unleashed her magic. Skeletons rose from the ground, terrifying everyone. The guards panicked, calling them creatures of darkness. Tai calmly ordered, "Come behind me, my creatures," and the skeletons obeyed. The guards couldn't believe it and demanded her name. Basto angrily stepped in, asking how they dared question his lord. Tai stopped him and continued her act. Remembering their practice, she spoke seriously, hiding her childish tone. Though nervous inside, she maintained her composure. With another display of magic, she declared, "You cannot handle my true name. My alias is Necromancer King." The guards, now frightened, accepted it. Later, their registration process continued, and they were asked to wait. In the waiting room, everyone was relieved. Nordics even offered to stay with them, wanting to repay the Necromancer King for saving his life. When asked to choose a group name, Tai, without thinking much, suggested Quail Class, which Bale immediately opposed. Soon, an official returned with their mercenary identification details. He asked for more information about the Necromancer King, but they had already planned for this. Tai wasn't obligated to answer. She confidently refused, and the guards backed off, knowing they couldn't force mercenaries to reveal personal details. Just as things seemed settled, the guard delivered shocking news. There was an order from above that Basto Pyrrhix could not be issued an ID. The reason? A report filed by Carl Wolven of Deathhound, accusing Basto of illegal activities and theft within the mercenary group. Everyone was stunned. Basto erupted in anger, demanding what crimes he had committed. The guard admitted he didn't know the details, only that the order came from above. Basto realized this was all Carl's doing. His ID had been erased without any proper investigation. Furious, he questioned the fairness of the Holy Knights. Bale angrily pointed out that this must have involved bribery and corruption. The guard fell silent, clearly shaken that their secret might have been exposed. Tai suddenly remembered something. Her granny once joked while watching TV about a bald man denying bribery allegations, saying that if that wasn't a bribe, then even his wig was one. The grannies had talked about how bribes were no longer hidden in apple boxes, but openly given in luxury bags. From that, Tai understood that bribes meant giving money to control people. That meant Carl had teamed up with someone powerful through bribery and was now tormenting Mr. Basto. At the guild, the guard quietly admitted that he already knew Basto's situation. When Basto demanded an explanation, the guard revealed that Carl had bribed someone influential, a newly appointed commander personally chosen by the emperor. Even among the knights, people talked about him in fear. He interfered excessively, and no one could challenge him. Bale angrily asked what would happen if this was exposed. The guard replied bitterly that nothing would happen. That was the problem. Basto clenched his fists in frustration. In the end, was everything decided by money? He had already lost everything trying to avenge his family. Suddenly, Tai spoke. She climbed onto the table and asked the guard, "How much did Carl give you?" The guard hesitated but eventually admitted that it was a chest full of money. Tai then opened her bag and poured out piles of magic stones, jewels, and treasures, gifts from her skeleton friends when she had cried in the forest. Everyone was stunned. Standing proudly, she declared, "The great Archmage Necromancer will give more. I am not like those petty people who hide money. I will give it openly in luxury bags." Everyone present, Basto, Bale, Nordics, and even the guards, was shocked. An hour later, Basto Purix received his new identification number. The guard handed over the final form and asked them to choose a mercenary group name. After thinking for a moment, Tai said, "Let's go with Augavert." When asked how she came up with it, she explained that she had seen the name Travaga on the board and simply rearranged the letters. Everyone approved of the name. Tai felt happy. They had successfully formed a mercenary group. Now they could finally enter the capital. Basto, deeply moved, thanked her. His eyes filled with emotion as he silently vowed to help her find her father no matter what. Tai smiled and said they should celebrate with something delicious. Basto nodded, calling her Necromancer King, and reaffirmed his promise to himself. He would find her dad. Meanwhile, at the port town outside the capital, Pearl City, someone rushed into a bar shouting, "Breaking news!" A new mercenary group had passed the gate, and its leader was something unbelievable. But the others dismissed it, saying that rookie mercenaries were nothing unusual. At a table nearby, a man who had been sleeping was disturbed. He was the leader of the mercenary group Travaga. His name was Tezidin Veronio. The person shouting while holding a newspaper was Livia, a member of the Travaga mercenary corps. The man who told her it was probably useless news was Victor, also a member of the corps. Suddenly, another voice interjected, saying that Livia was right and that something rare had appeared. The captain turned to look at him. The man introduced the information calmly. It was a mage, and a very powerful one. His name was Elric, another member of the mercenary corps. Everyone was surprised. A mage had formed a mercenary group? They all knew that mages were extremely rare in Talokium. Not only did one need to be born with the innate talent of mana, but they also had to undergo long and rigorous training to reach that level. That was why mages were often called monsters, just like Elric himself, who was also a mage. Elric then revealed something even more shocking. The attribute of this rare mage was darkness. They couldn't be completely certain, but according to reports, the person had summoned a swarm of skeletons at the registration office. The room fell into murmurs. Necromancy. It was something that had only existed in theory before, but this time it was real. The captain asked if the information was verified. Elric replied that he had heard it through the Holy Knights communication network, so he was certain. He added that there had never been a case where a mage personally formed a mercenary group, which made this person an extremely rare type. The captain looked at the paper and said that this person was either insanely confident or truly that strong. He read out the group's name, August. He didn't recognize the other names listed, like Nordics and Bale, and assumed they were nothing special. However, he noted that Basto Pyrrhix, the former vice-captain of Death Hound, was involved. Then he looked for the mage's name, but it wasn't there. He burst into laughter. "So, he's hiding his real name?" he said mockingly. "Disguised as a 4-year-old kid and calling himself the King of the Dead? This is interesting." The entire tavern laughed. They mocked the name, calling it something a lunatic would come up with. The captain smirked and warned his group that they should start getting nervous, or they might be pushed out by this strange mage. Suddenly, someone interrupted. It was the captain of the Rank 2 mercenary group, Grim Reaper. He challenged them, saying that no one knew how long their glory would last. Ever since Travaga was formed, they had held Rank 1 without dropping, but that could change. The Travaga captain laughed at him. "You think you can take Rank 1 if I slip up? You don't reach the top just by brute force, you need brains." He warned him not to provoke him further, or he wouldn't leave a single magic stone for them. With that, he left with his group, leaving the Grim Reaper captain furious but silent. Back at the inn near the first gate, little Ty was happily eating a cookie baked by Granny. She found it delicious. Bale approached her and teasingly asked, "Are the cookies good, King of the Dead?" Ty blinked in confusion. "King of the Dead?" Bale laughed. "Who else could it be?" Ty blushed deeply and told him to just call her Ty. It was supposed to be a secret name. Bale struggled to hold back his laughter. He then asked if she really liked the name that much. Ty thought about it seriously. In her mind, strong characters always had cool nicknames, just like heroes and legends. So she nodded proudly, though her explanation didn't make much sense to Bale, who simply called her dumb. Ty pouted, but then happily called out to Uncle Basto and Grandpa Nordics when they arrived. Basto brought something with him, a cloak for the August mercenary corps. Ty was thrilled. She loved the design, which resembled her favorite cute character. However, Bale immediately criticized it, calling it a pink bug. Ty froze in shock. She and Nordics had worked really hard on that design. To her it was perfect. When Bale tried to erase it with ink, Ty jumped forward and bit his hand to stop him. The two started arguing loudly. In the struggle, the ink spilled, and Bale's hand got scratched, drawing blood. At that moment, something changed. The black dragon, Blackie, awakened from the necklace. He emerged furious. "What is this kind of insubordination?" he demanded.